Good morning and welcome back. What we're working on is Gem Wars. We're going to be adding the AI for the game right now. We have it set up so that you can play free mode, and then we just started implementing a new type yesterday of play, which is called practice. And what practice does is, I'm sorry, my cable's going out. What practice does is you play against a computer opponent, and right now it's using the same algorithm as the game, as the check to see if there are any moves remaining in the game, and we're going to change that so it's going to be evaluating the number of points that it gets per move against the number of moves in the future that can be calculated, and then we're also going to add in a difficulty, so we'll have tolerances for easy, medium, and hard. That's sort of what we're working on. All right, says A Fallen Hope. Let's do it. So let me show you the simplest thing that we have set up here in the code base. Not this one. In the code base, we now have two players that are being instantiated. One is a local and one is not a local. We're adding them into my game array. And then when we do try a computer turn, we're checking to see if it's local. And if it's not, then it's going to check to see one piece where it can place it and try to place it. And if it can't, then it's going to go to game over. And these are the pieces that are instantiated as scriptable objects for each player, which happens here in player SO. Create available pieces, and so if it's ready to reset the drawers like in the beginning of the game, then for the number of drawers it creates the scriptable objects of random piece. And then here we're trying to place it, and then we destroy it and we check it for all game objects. Now for efficiency, I'm not using a pool manager for pieces, and I could be. It may implement some issues if we try to do that. But for now, I think this is okay, and we can always change this in the future. But we're gonna fix this logic to make it more complex. So over in the game, and I play it, you can see that was the computer's first move, and it's really, really rickety the way it's set up right now. So the computer is just going to play in the next place every time for a character that it has. Now it says that something was out of line here because this is looking at my player local. So let's just do a try and a catch around this so that we can debug what's happening here. Okay, and we'll attach it to Unity and jump back and try it again. Give Unity a second to update. Yesterday this took like a minute or two, so we'll just give it a second. There we go. And then we'll restart it again. Give it a second for the first time since it's connected. Man, I'm gonna have to buy a new cable ASAP and get this thing shipped out here. This is not good. I don't have a backup cable for my microphone. All right. So now when we play, it should be my turn first. And now it's looking at my drawer container piece and it's placing it. Don't worry about that. And now it's looking to remove it, which is fine. Now it's going to do the computer turn. Which is placing this first piece. So you can see that it is, he had a 3-piece one, or she. This one was another 3-piece one. We'll take that line. And I'm waiting to see when that errors again, because I would just want to catch it and see where it's happening. Debug test. So in my drawers script, I have 3. And in my available pieces, I have 1. So where is this being set? In a init of drawer container script. Check and set drawer pieces and reset game. So here, this should only be getting invoked when this is returning true. If it doesn't have any pieces where it was not purchased. Perfect. Now we both did. Both of us did again, because no one is purchasing. But I want to get that bug one more time. And that's it. That's where it would end. So here, try it again. Doesn't work on reset at the moment because I'm not in different scenes. Oh, I am. I'm in a practice scene here. We want to have the computer drag the pieces out as well, because right now you can't see where they're being placed. You just have to be aware of the board. I don't think I like that. We'll keep that try catch there to try to catch this. Oh, that was one. I went right over it. So one more test, and then we'll start on the AI. And we will figure that bug out as we go. It'll become apparent. Somewhere the player is not being cleared for see how it's always twice because it's one for them and one for me? Okay. That's fine. This will be our last game and then we'll start. That's interesting. Oh, 10% chance. So now if I was to like look to see what I can buy, if there's anything that'll save me. See, I don't have enough of those, so I can't do that. Right. I do have enough for this one. Interesting. It didn't take. Let's check it again. It looks like it should have. No, let's see. So if my game over, my player local is my current player. It's got to be this. So the player local here, come on. So my players local is, there's two. One with an ID of let's get out of these files. Okay. Let's try it again. Well, let's start on our AI. So if I look back here at this will make debugging a lot easier. We currently have one object here called player SO, which only has a couple of things: available pieces, lines, purchase pieces, hand limit, is local, number draws, and then some properties and some functions. So we're going to add another one of these, and I'm going to call it player computer. There we go. Oh man, this cable sucks. Player computer SO. We'll call it player AI SO. And we'll inherit from player. And now, since this is an AI player, we can add our logic that we had for AI here. Come on. So over in my game manager, where we have this try computer turn, we're going to move this logic over here. As a computer turn. AI turn. When we start this, we also want to have a public public override called init. Instead of doing this, we're going to look at here and we're going to say, yes, this is the AI turn, so I don't need to worry about that. And then the next piece is that we're going to look at the available pieces here, and I'm going to instantiate that onto a board script. So on the player, I need to have a public override called init of this one, and I want to add in here my board script. Now normally I don't like to do that. So let's take that back and go back here and do a board script, so that way it can be controlled from another script. And now We're going to add this we're going to add these types. And now what I need to have is the game. I believe I can add a game here to a player. Actually, you're passing these players into a game when it gets created. So I can just pass that also here as a game parameter. Like that. And then we don't need to worry about my UI script here. And we're going to make this a bool. So here I can say return true, and this one will be return false. Okay. So in my game manager, right now we have 2 players. Let's go ahead and kill that and make this just 1. And then we want to have my override in practice game manager. And this is going to be a player AISO, which doesn't matter. And this is a player AISO. And is local. So let's fix that. And here we're going to make this a, come on, cable. Player AISO. Let's copy this one and make one called player local. Player local, and we're going to change that to be called SO. Oh, come on. So here, where we take our AI turn, I want to go back to my game manager, and we can scrap this try computer term now and move that onto my practice game manager. We can get rid of this is local. So here, what you want to do is, after you do your start, if I look back at my game manager, you've got these different pieces in here where you're starting your pool manager, you're starting round 1. So let's move this stuff here. We're going to do a protected virtual void, and I'm going to say start scene, and I'm going to move my games played over here, my pool manager, and my round 1 in init. So that way over here we can do we're going to change this to be a player local SO. So here you'll make another one called protected virtual void create game. And you'll move this here. And this one's you want to pass in a player array called player. And then the last one you want to have is the protected virtual void create players, which will be like this. You're going to pass this out. There's a reason for my madness here. And then you want to return a new player SO array, which includes player. So we have var players equals create players. Okay. So why did I do all that? So now over here, when I do my protected override of create players, I can do this as my base players, and then what I can do is a var, and we're going to say that this is my base players, and we're going to say players here equals a new list of player SO. And then I can add in here my base players dot for each players dot add my X, and then I also want to do my players dot add, and we want to do a scriptable object factory here of my create object of my player AISO, which is the AI scriptable object of the player. Come on, microphone. And now we'll do a player.init, and then we'll add it to players, and then return players.toArray. So what this is doing is it's taking all of the players that base is returning, adding it to a new list, creating a new AI player, and returning it. So now, when start is done, we want to do a protected override for start. And at the end of this, I want to say if my game.player current turn is a player AISO, Then you want to do a try computer turn. So you call this AI turn. This I moved to my like that, public AI turn. Okay. And when we do that, I want to pass in my board manager and a board script and a game. Now, after we place a piece, so I want to have a protected override placed on piece placed. When this is done, I want to say same thing here. So we can make a new protected virtual void check for AI turn. We can paste that in. And then we can just do that. And then that. Okay. So now on your reset game event, you can do a var players equals create players. You can then do a create game of your players. And then if I look at start scene, pool manager is different. Round game. You're not setting your event here. And I don't see where you're setting game camera init. Right there. And then so this needs to have the game camera script.init of the game. And up here you can assign your events. Cool. Now it's the same. So you can just paste this here. And then what you want to do is a protected virtual void start new game. Paste that in. Like that. Okay. You also want to set your pool manager only one time up here. So if I look at this one more time, My on reset should work now. And now, when we go back here to my game, if I was to play this in practice mode, I want to get my of type player local, and we want to get the first or default. So now we're going to go back to title. And if I look at free play, it should just let me play normal. And if I look at the practice versus AI, it looks like on my practice, we need to change this game manager out with a practice game manager. And we want to add in my game camera, my UI script, my board script, and my prefab, and my prefab manager. So now when I look at, I gotta buy a new cable today, I think. This is horrible. Practice versus AI. Now the AI is taking turns too. Still getting the error there. Give it a second to kick through. Here we go. Now here we go. Here's our draw failure. So my drawers are 3 and my player local has 1 available piece. So what called this? Check and set drawers, which meant that here it's like it never added it to my available pieces. And here, when I look at my available pieces and we create the 3, and my args.player is a player local SO. That'll fix it. And if I look back at Gem Wars, I should be able to remove this debug statement now. And we can try it again. Let it load. And now we should have no errors when either of us reload our scripts. But we are totally lined up now to get our AI going. So that failed in my reset. That's weird. All right. Let me take a real short 5-10 minute break. And then when we get back, we're going to implement that AI. Thanks for staying with me.